Welcome back to another Todd E. Walnuts video, and today I'm going to share with you guys my favorite true crime stuff. I have documentaries and seasons and stuff that I really enjoy, stuff that I like to watch. This is kind of like my binge watching stuff. We all need that true crime fix from time to time, and I'll show you guys some of the things that I enjoy in my collection, and I'll go through and in detail we'll check these out. So get yourselves relaxed, get a beverage and a snack. The ladies are joining us again and they can't wait to see it, so let's get into it. So I'm just going to randomly pull from piles on the bed. I really don't have a plan. Like I told you guys before, when I record these videos, it's unscripted. I just kind of put a bunch of stuff on my bed. I have no idea what I'm going to say until I hit record. And we're going to start with the In Search of Darkness documentaries. I have a love-hate for this company here. These guys do some pretty good documentaries, but they like to bleed the fans, and I'll explain what I mean about that. They really turned me off, and I don't plan on buying anything from them again. If you do, that's fine. I'm not trying to dissuade anybody from buying their stuff, but they are a company that likes to get every single nickel and dime out of the customers. For example, when the first In Search of Darkness came out, you could pre-order it, and a lot of people did. And they held on to your money for months and months and months. And that wasn't even the bad part. I was fine with that. I realize it takes time and effort, and I'm willing to wait if it takes longer to make a good product. But then before it was about to come out, they sent an email out to all of the people who pre-ordered and said, if you give us more money, we'll give you a slipcover. And I thought that was ridiculous. I told them I wanted my money back. They sent me a free one, so I actually have two of these, and I'm probably going to give one of these away. So stick around at the end of this video. You can find out how to win one of these documentaries. I was sure not going to give them more money for a slipcover, even though I do love slipcovers. I was done. I was turned off by this company. Actually, I think I take that back. It was the In Search of Tomorrow that had the slipcover, and I got two of those as well. So I'll give one of these each away. I'll give one each away, and that probably didn't make sense. I'm going to give one of these away at the end of this video, so stay tuned. This was a gift from a former YouTuber. I don't even think he's around anymore. Donato from Canada. He sent this to me about a couple of years ago. This is In Search of Darkness Part 2. Now, these are really excellent documentaries. I can't take that away from them. But as far as being savvy business people, I think that it's horrible to bleed people dry like that, especially the ones that helped you to get this thing going. This was a crowd-funded documentary, and a lot of people put their money into this, and then they're going to tell you, we'll give you a slipcover if you give us more money. That was the breaking point for me. So I do have two of these, and these are really good. So, I mean, they have a lot of big names in here. You can see there's Barbara Crampton, there's John Carpenter. There's just a lot of really, really good stuff in here, kind of chronicling the early days of horror, you know, going in from the 70s into the 80s. And it says it's a journey into iconic 80s horror. It kind of starts at the end of 79 and goes into the 80s. You can see some of the huge villains there. The 80s were really good for horror movies. And here's Part 2. You get some art cards. There's some posters. I got some posters when I ordered these. I don't know if I'm going to show them in this video or not. I have a lot of things to show. So maybe it wasn't a good idea to start with this one because I kind of started off with a gripe. But you guys have to let me know down below how you would feel about that, or how did you feel. were you one of the ones who crowdfunded, and how did you feel when they asked you for more money to get a slipcover? And this is In Search of Tomorrow. So this is the definitive guide to 80s sci-fi. And this is where I checked out. I refuse. I don't care how good these are. I refuse to fund that. So getting into the next pile, I love Alcatraz and anything about Alcatraz. I was lucky enough to visit Alcatraz back in I think it was 1989, the summer of 89. It might have been, I think it was before the earthquake. I think it was the same year as the earthquake, only the earthquake happened later that year. And I was a little bit too young to really fully appreciate it. Although, I mean, I still appreciated it, but I think if I had a chance to go back now as an adult, I would really get the full effect of it, I believe. But this is a 7-part documentary series called Exploring Alcatraz. It's excellent. They go over the whole island with a fine-tooth comb, and you get to see the different tunnels. They talk about some of the infamous prisoners that they had there. It's really, really good. And I really love the whole Alcatraz idea, the whole history behind it. It's really, really good, and that's an excellent documentary. This one is called The Unexplained. So this one talks about ghosts and, you know, the kind of hidden treasures and stuff like that. Human spontaneous combustion, sacrifice, vampires. I really enjoy this kind of stuff. A lot of these now you can get on YouTube, but I bought these all before YouTube was even a thing. So this one's called Colonies of the Condemned. Beneath Alcatraz, Devil's Island, and Jailbreak. Tales of Anguish, Courage, and Escape. This was from the Discovery Channel. So you get 3 documentaries about prison life. I think it's all on one disc, if I remember. It is. These are fun watches. I believe they're 45 minutes a piece, roughly. 50 minutes, 50 minutes, and 50 minutes. And then you get a bonus feature called War Stories from 1965. Vietnamese War. And we'll put that off to the side. Here's another one. This is called Lonely Island, Hidden Alcatraz. This one is excellent. This one's kind of, I think it's underrated. I don't even know if many people even really know about this one. It's kind of it was a local KQED production. Came out in 2002. It's 75 minutes. This one had me completely glued to my TV for the full 75 minutes. It was really, really good. And if you guys are into Alcatraz, try to hunt this one down. It's called Lonely Island, Hidden Alcatraz, and this one was called Exploring Alcatraz. Both of these are excellent. I would definitely recommend those. This was a gift to me years ago from another YouTuber. I believe he doesn't make videos anymore. Another Canadian. I can't think of what his channel's name was now off the top of my head. But this is a Werner Herzog movie documentary called The Art of Killing. And it says it's the most innovative masterpiece of documentary filmmaking, bar none. Chilling, inventive documentary, executive produced by Errol Morris and Werner Herzog, examines a country where death squad leaders are celebrated as heroes and are challenged to reenact their real-life mass killings in the style of American movies they love. It's a 2-disc set. 2 versions of the film, I'm sorry. 166-minute documentary and then a 122-minute theatrical cut. And there's a 45-minute interview. This thing is jam-packed. This was from a company called Cinedigm. This was number 14, Draft House Films. So on the same kind of theme of bizarre documentaries, I don't know if many of you know about Joe Coleman. I don't know if you've ever heard of Joe Coleman. He's a very interesting man, I'll put it that way. I would kind of put him in the same vein as like an Aleister Crowley type of a guy. This is called Rest in Pieces, A Portrait of Joe Coleman. He's an artist, and he actually designed the art for one of the movies I have here. I'm going to be showing you guys later, and he did the cover for this one. But he's a very odd man, and there's a scene in this documentary that's pretty disgusting, something he does with a mouse, and I don't want to talk about it because it's pretty disturbing. And if you don't like animal torture, I would say don't watch this, but it's only just a little blip in this whole thing. I mean, this is a very fascinating person. I think he's definitely worth a watch if you can just kind of get past that part. There's some really good stuff in here. So I think this is pretty hard to find now. This is called Rest in Peace, Rest in Pieces, A Portrait of Joe Coleman. I have some of his signed books too, which are kind of rare. Here's another documentary called Criminals. This is kind of an old school documentary. I think it was recorded in the 70s. So you get to see kind of the old way that they used to do things, like in New York City and stuff like that back in the 70s. It takes you back into a time capsule. This is pretty good. It definitely has kind of a gritty, grimy feel to it. The next one, this is kind of a heartbreaking documentary. It's a true crime story called Dear Zachary, a letter to a son about his father who was murdered. And I don't want to give too much of it away, but it's a tearjerker. This is a very sad, somber documentary. I do recommend it though. Check that one out. Here's another one kind of from the 70s, early 80s. It's called Deadline. Same thing. It has that gritty, grimy feel to it. You feel like you need a shower when you're done watching this. Crime has been around since the beginning of time, and it's never going to end. And these documentaries like this and like this, they kind of take you back almost to a different time. Here's one called Psychiatry, an Industry of Death. I watched all of these when I was laid up after I had a back surgery about 10 years ago. And I got a bunch of these documentaries, and I was kind of rifling through them as I was in recovery mode. And I don't really remember too much about this one, but it just kind of shows how there's so many drug users and drug abusers and homeless and all that kind of stuff. It says graphic material. This one will drive you nuts too, called Capturing the Freedmans. It will make you sick to your stomach. What these two did to children, it's unbelievable. I don't want to get into it here, but I felt like vomiting when I was watching this. It's a 2-disc set called Capturing Freedmans. So this jerk ass right here, and this is his son, they would tutor children in their basement. I believe it was how to play piano, and that was just part of it. And there was a lot of other things going on in that basement, man. It'll make you sick. Here's one called The Execution of Wanda Jean. This was a documentary that was on HBO years ago. I remember watching it years ago, probably in the 80s maybe. And well, this DVD came out in 2005, but I want to say this documentary was much older than that. But this is called The Execution of Wanda Jean. She was a lesbian who was she was an abusive lover to her girlfriend, and she ended up taking her out. And so you kind of go through and see the end of her life just before she's getting executed. It kind of shows the days leading up to that, and it kind of chronicles her life and what she's doing in the prison, the phone calls she makes, the letters she's writing. They interview her, what her thoughts are and stuff like that. It's pretty interesting. Here's one from my home state of Wisconsin, and this is called Wisconsin Death Trip. And this is a documentary about some really bizarre things that happened in Black River Falls, Wisconsin back in the late 1800s, 1890s. Black River Falls is north and west of where I live. It's close to the Minnesota border. There were some really strange things that were happening around that time in Black River Falls, and this kind of chronicles that time. It's, even if you don't like Wisconsin, or you're not from Wisconsin, or you don't even know much about Wisconsin, this would be a good watch for anybody, I think. And here's a couple. I thought I had two. I do have two, but this, I guess I didn't bring the other one out. This is about the Donner Party. I'm sure most of you know about the Donner Party, where they tried to take a shortcut going west to get to California, and they ended up making some really bad decisions, and they became stranded during a storm, and they had to resort to cannibalism. And I'm sure you guys have heard about the Donner Party. This is a movie version of that, and it's very good. It's a shame what happened to the party, but this is a really good, it kind of takes you, brings you in. It makes you feel really, really gross, though, really creepy. And I have a documentary about that as well, and I don't know what I did with it. This one I've watched many times. This is a History Channel documentary called The Dark Ages, and it kind of goes all the way back to like the Black Plague and how they handled stuff like that back in those days. This is really excellent. I watched this one many times. It's 94 minutes. There's bonus materials as well. The narrator in here just kind of pulls you in. I don't remember who narrated it. Let's see if it says on the back, but he had the perfect voice for it. And this is the kind of documentary you can just put on and just kind of chill and watch it. Talks about the once powerful Rome, the fall of Rome, the Dark Ages, getting into the Black Death, they called it. This is a really excellent documentary. Okay, we'll start pulling from this pile. Making pretty good time so far. I really get into the urban legends. I talked about that before on this channel. I think I have probably showed these before too, but I'm going to show them all again. These are excellent. I love the old urban legend stories about, you know, the guy with the hook and all the different things, Bloody Mary. So these are 3 different versions of that. This is 6 hours of urban legends. I believe, yeah, TLC. I was going to say this is TLC. I think this one is as well. Hosted by Natasha Henstridge. And these are really excellent. So you get things from perfume poisoning, the strangling statue, bad bacteria bananas, getting the finger, campus suicide rule, celebrity snub, and it goes on. And these are really, really good. So that's 6 hours, and then this one's a different one. It's 5 hours. You have to decide if you think they're real or not. I like watching these. I keep an open mind. This one has the hook, the choking Doberman, the birthday suit. I think you guys maybe remember the choking Doberman. I think he coughed up like a thumb or a finger from a robber or something like that. There's just really, really good stuff in these. And you could probably get these pretty cheap on eBay. And I do recommend these. And then this one's from the Biography Channel, the complete season 1 of Urban Legends. This one was hosted by Michael Alcock. Don't judge. I don't know who he is. I think I would change my mind or my name if my name was Alcock. But hey, maybe it worked for him. I don't know. But you get a bonus material of 45 minutes of mini myths. And this is a 5 hour and 30-minute runtime of Urban Legends. It's a 2-disc set. Hosted by Michael Alcock. Can't make this stuff up. Here is another excellent documentary. This is Ghosts of the Abyss from the great James Cameron. This is a Walt Disney Pictures Presents. And James Cameron is a huge fan of the Titanic, and he's also been a huge explorer. He's been down there many, many times. And he goes down in a mini sub, and they kind of do some things in here, and it's excellent. It's very suspenseful. The little tiny sub that they go down in, and it just, you feel claustrophobic, and they go down and they get right down to the level, and they look inside, and it's amazing. This is a 2-disc set. If you have never seen Ghosts of the Abyss, definitely do check it out. Even if it's just here on YouTube, you don't have to buy the physical copy if you don't want to. I do. I'm a physical copy guy. I love to have this stuff. But, you know, if you just want to check it out, it's probably on eBay. Maybe all of this stuff is. I don't know. Here's another series that I really recommend. This is called Weird US. I have volume 1, 2, and 3. This was another History Channel program. Very bizarre things happening across the U.S. These are each an hour and a half of just weird things that that happened across the U.S. over time. Let's see. Strange But True and Road to Weirdsville. You probably have seen some of the weird books too, like Weird Wisconsin, Weird New Jersey, stuff like that. I do have the Weird Wisconsin book, but these are excellent. These are really fun to watch, and it'd be a good binge. Yeah, some guy over there was a cool guy spinning his tires out on the street out there. Now these two are fun to watch around Halloween time. So we have a 7-part series called Monsters Among Us. This is the origins of horror's greatest legends, and this is excellent. It goes all the way back to Nosferatu and some of the, excuse me, I'm losing my voice. I gotta go get something to drink. But it just talks about the different monsters, ghosts over history, and this is perfect to watch right around Halloween time. And this one's supposedly called True Stories of Witchcraft and Wizardry. Some people believe, I don't, but to each their own. You know, I mean, I still love to watch this stuff. And, you know, witchcraft goes back for decades, centuries. It's very fascinating to me. Even though I don't believe, I still love to hear the history about it and as far back as it goes. I'm going to pause it here really quick. Go get some ice water, and then we'll continue. Okay, so we're getting into probably my favorite pile here, and these are highly recommended. And again, you can probably find most, if not all of these, on YouTube or other streaming services, maybe like Pluto. But I like to have the physical copies, and the first one is called The New Detectives. I know you guys have heard of these before. This is a 4 DVD set, seasons 1 and 2. They come in these little slim packs. And they just go over true crime stories that happened, and they show from beginning to end how the detectives solved the case, little clues that they found. These are excellent. I really love these. And I'm trying to remember who did the narrating in this. This wasn't Bill Curtis. I can't remember the guy's name. Let me see if it says on the back of the disc. Here, let me see. No, it doesn't say. But you do get 4 discs, like I mentioned. And what is the running time? 980 minutes for the first 2 seasons. You can tell this is worn. It's not a very high quality box or anything like that, but this does have some shelfware. This has some viewing hours on it. Really glad to have that. And I have some of the forensic files. I have quite a few of these. This is best of season 11. You get 22 episodes. I'm sure most of you know about the forensic files. I got these at Goodwill a few years ago. They had a whole bunch of them there, but unfortunately, some of them were pretty scratched up, and I don't get down with the scratched up discs. I leave those behind. I don't want anything to do with those. I picked the ones that were good, though, the ones that looked really clean. And this is, let's see here. This is called The Serial Killers from Stranglers to Snipers, 12 episodes. I can tell you now, this video will not be monetized because YouTube is ridiculous. You can't even say cannibals or snipers, stuff like that. They'll shut you down. It's ridiculous. Oh well, I still want to share this with you guys. I do this for a hobby, so it's not, I don't depend on the money from this channel. This one is called the Best of Season 9. You get 16 episodes. Let's see, it's 4 discs. And this one is Death by Poison. You get 12 episodes. Deadly Drinks and Drugs. I mean, you can sit and watch these and just shake your head at how evil some people can be, especially to people that they thought they loved, or that, you know, that thought that, you know, people thought that they were loved by them, you know, husbands killing their wives and vice versa, and it's just ridiculous. This one's called Cold Case Files. I think this one was narrated by Bill Curtis. Yes, it is. I know you guys know Bill Curtis's voice. He's probably one of the best narrators ever. The guy that I'm thinking of, the other guy who's right up there with Bill Curtis, he was a black gentleman. He's passed away now. And he used to do the City Confidential, and I can't think of his name. I'll have to look that up. I'm going to pause it here, and I'll get back to you. I'll be right back. The guy I was thinking of is Paul Winfield, and he had a great voice. He was a perfect narrator, just like Bill Curtis. Those guys are right up there, neck and neck is the best. And Robert Stack is up there too, which we'll be showing some unsolved mystery stuff here in a minute. So these are discs that I bought directly from A&E years ago, and these are narrated by Bill Curtis also. These are called Investigative Reports, Cold Case Files number 13, The Burning Secret, and Justice Delayed. These are the real deal that came directly from, these are almost kind of like screeners that came from, I don't know if you guys ever remember at the end of these programs, it would say if you want to order a transcript of the show, you can send money, and then those, so you can also buy like copies of the, and these were pretty expensive back then too. I think these were like 20 bucks a piece. I don't know what they're going for now, but maybe they're worth nothing, but to me they are. So this is Cold Case Files number 13, The Burning Secret and Justice Delayed. This one is Cold Case Files number 17, Presumed Dead, The Tow Truck Killer. And this one is Cold Case Files number 12, Murder Illustrated and Blood Relations. I think these are about 45 minutes a piece, does it say? So you get maybe about an hour and a half worth of programming on these. These were DVD-R directly from A&E. So it probably only took them, you know, to make something like this was probably a couple of bucks, and they were selling them for 20. That's okay. I don't mind that though. I don't think it says what the running time, but, and then here's the last one. I got Cold Case Files number 2, The Boy and the Monster and the Secret in the Cellar. These are excellent. Bill Curtis, I think he's still doing stuff too, but he's really slowed down. I think he's got to be in his 90s or close to it, if not 90. So I'm going to pause it here really quick, take another drink, and we'll keep moving. So now we're going to get into a couple of my favorite television shows from all the time. And the first one here is Beyond Belief, Fact or Fiction. This is season 1. This one's kind of hard to find. They only released season 1 on DVD, and they released it in a very limited quantity. So you can get all these on Pluto now. If you download the free app for Pluto, it's a free channel, and you can watch these. They have, I think there was only 3 seasons, or maybe 4. The first season had James Brolin as the narrator of the series, and then starting in season 2 and going forward, it was Jonathan Frakes. But these are excellent. So what it was, if you guys don't remember, it was a half-hour television show, and they would show 3 different segments in that half hour, and usually one of those 3 would be true, but they were all usually always stories that were just ridiculous. Like you wouldn't believe any of them could be true, but it would turn out one would be true, and you have to try to guess which one it is. They try to reenact, and it's a very excellent show. It says this landmark anthology series is in the tradition of the Twilight Zone and Unsolved Mysteries. That is a perfect summary about this show. If you haven't seen it, check it out. This is excellent. And then, of course, Unsolved Mysteries needs no introduction. This is the ultimate collection that has all of the ghosts. There's 4 discs for that. Miracles, there's 4 discs for that. Bizarre Murders, 4. UFOs, 4. Strange Legends, 4. Psychics, 4. And then there's Treasures and Ghosts. And they show a lot of these on, well, you can watch these all on YouTube now. They have, you can watch the original ones hosted by Robert Stack, which this box is. And then there was also they tried to revive the series with, oh, I forget his name, the Chicago cop turned actor. I really should remember this. Dennis Farina. Dennis Farina, he's passed away now. Both of the gentlemen are. Robert Stack died a long time ago, but Dennis Farina was an excellent narrator too. And you can find all of these on YouTube. So I recommend it, but this is a great show. I've probably seen every episode at least a couple times, if not more. So this is a 25 disc set. There's over 36 hours. This is a hard ticket to get though. Nowadays it's going for several $100, and I would never part with mine, but that's a really nice set. Here's another nice set from the History Channel. This is called Haunted History Collection. This is the real stories behind the horrors on 20 DVDs. They each come in their own set or their own disc, and this is what they look like. America's Most Haunted Places. These are excellent. The History Channel, Biography Channel, all those channels were really good, high quality stuff. And I can never get enough of this kind of stuff. But so you get history's spookiest phenomena. You get hauntings, zombies, and voodoo rituals. You get Dracula, witches, voodoo, and exorcism. And you get America's Most Haunted Places. You get 20 discs in this really nice box set. Really glad to have that. And I really enjoy the stuff about the Titanic as well. And this is a nice big box set. This is the Deluxe Centenary Edition. I think I pronounced that right. I'm not going to try to do it again. But this is the 1912 through 2012 box set. It has a lot of really good stuff in here. It's like replicas of some of the things. Some of the ledgers that were signed and postcards and stuff like that. There's a book inside there. There's a couple different DVDs. So you get Titanic, A Tale of Two Journeys DVD. The band played on CD, which is really good. It's creepy. This is the music that they were playing on the Titanic. And you know, I think from what I hear and from what I remember, the band kept playing as the Titanic was sinking. You also get the Story of the Titanic hardcover book, and you get a memorabilia pack. I'm not going to take everything out here. I did an unboxing of this a long time ago. But you could probably get this very cheap on eBay. And if you can, I recommend you doing it. It's a very good, excellent set for any Titanic lovers out there. And getting over now into this pile, these are some of the serial killer documentaries and movies that I have in my collection that I recommend. These, let's see, there's a couple here from filmmaker John Borowski. These are kind of like docudramas, or kind of like documentaries in like a movie style. This one's called Serial Killer Culture. It was signed by John Borowski there on the cover. And it just talks about people who collect memorabilia, paintings, letters, autographs, comics, anybody who collects anything of that genre of serial killer. This kind of chronicles that. It's really, really good. And then this is a movie that I helped to crowdfund, and I actually was at the premiere showing in Chicago years ago when this first came out. I got to meet John, and I got to watch the movie with him. It was the first showing of it. And a really nice little, I wish I remembered the name of the theater. It was a really old school theater in Chicago, and I really enjoyed it. I had a great night. Got to shake hands with John, talk to him for a while. There was vendors out there. We got to sit and watch the movie with John, and then John had a Q&A at the end of the movie, and it was really, really good. You can meet some of the actors who were in this movie. And Carl Panzram was a rotten bastard. I mean, if you don't know anything about Carl Panzram, I recommend finding this movie and watching it, and also doing a little research. That guy was nothing nice. He was a complete jagbag. Here's one called Bizarre. This is the strange case of serial killer Bob Berdella. He was another whack job, as they are. And he did some disgusting things. Here's one called Making a Serial Killer. I bought this at Kmart for $7. I still haven't watched this yet. I think I had this, though, in a different pack, and I think I did watch this before. I just haven't watched this edition of it, because it's still sealed. But this is a 13-part documentary. It's got some really good stuff in here. It's put out by Mill Creek. Here's one called Ted Bundy from Biography. He was another piece of work. I mean, it's I think people are so fascinated by this stuff because how can you do the things that these guys have done? You know, I mean, what goes on through somebody's mind where they can just take people apart and rip families apart? I don't know. Here's one called The Diary of Jack the Ripper. This is excellent. Presented by Michael Winner, who is an excellent director. This was put out by Image. I got this years ago. 79 minutes running time. I'm fascinated by Jack the Ripper too, and someday I would like to travel abroad, go to England, and kind of see some of the places, the historical places where some of these things happened. This is a nice little set here. It's a 10-part documentary called America's Serial Killers. I think it's the same thing, or it's very similar to this one. It's not exactly the same. This is a 13-part. This is a 10-part. But some of the things kind of seem to repeat themselves. And this is in a fat pack. This is put up by Mill Creek. And the discs are stacked in these little paper sleeves. I was never a fan of that. I'd rather have them stacked in paper sleeves than right on top of each other, though. Here's one from history called Manson. This is pretty new to my collection. I think I got this less than a year ago. The chilling journey inside Manson's world includes a dramatic reenactment and eyewitness accounts. This is the cover I was telling you guys about before for Joe Coleman. He actually painted this. And this is a pretty decent movie. I would put this right up there with like well, it has like a 70s New York gritty vibe to it. And let's see here. The feature film is on disc 1, feature-length film with commentary with the director John McNaughton. And disc 2 is the Making of Henry documentary. And then you get a serial killer documentary about Henry Lee Lucas, which this movie is loosely based on. But this is it's a gritty, grimy, slimy movie. It makes you feel like you need a shower when you're done watching it. It's right up there with like the New York Ripper and movies like that. And this was a early role from Michael Rooker. He plays Henry in here. Tom Towles is also in here. Tom Towles plays Otis Toole. This was put out by Dark Sky Films. I didn't even realize that. I think this one's a little bit harder to find now, but it's not too pricey or anything like that, as far as I know. Here's another movie from John Borowski called Albert Fish. And this guy was a devil. He did some of the most horrible things you can ever think of. I'm not even going to bring it up on here. If you don't know who Albert Fish is, he took a girl named Grace Budd. He asked the mother if he can take Grace Budd, I believe it was to a festival or a carnival or something like that. And the mother trusted him, said, yes, go ahead. This was like in the 1920s, I think, 1930s maybe. And instead of taking her to this carnival, he took her to an abandoned house, did some unthinkable things to her. And not only that, to make things worse, I can't even say it. And then he writes the mother a letter and describes what he did to the girl, to this mother. And it'll make you want to vomit. And this is a true story. This guy was a freaking monster. And when he got caught and he got executed, and when they were reviewing his corpse, he had hundreds of needles inserted into his penis and scrotum because he was like a masochist or whatever they call those. Hundreds hundreds of needles and pins stuck in his legs and his scrotum and his penis. If there ever was a devil walking the earth, it was Albert Fish. Here's the Manson family movies. This is a 2-disc limited edition signed by the director. Also has a bonus disc called the Sharon Tate Home Movies. This is put out by Cult Epics. It's a Blu-ray, but it's in a DVD-sized case. Here's another. This is a documentary about Jack the Ripper, the greatest unsolved mystery of the 19th century. It shows historical photos, and this is excellent. This is really, really good. Sorry if I feel like I seem like I'm rushing. I have a lot to show, and I don't want to spend too much time per movie. This is probably, this is my favorite serial killer documentary. I think this is probably the most in-depth. This is called These Serial Killers. It's a 3-disc set put out by Dark Sky Films on DVD. If you can get past the annoying music in this movie, or in this documentary, then you'll be fine. And it has some really excellent information about some of the most heinous humans to ever walk the earth. You have William Herons, Henry Lee Lucas, Ted Bundy, Ron DeFeo, Douglas Clark, and more. This is really, really good. How long is it? It's 3 discs. It is 6.5 hours long. And you can sit and watch that in one sitting. It's that good. It draws you in. This is a movie based on the BTK killer, Bind, Torture, Kill. I haven't watched this one yet. This is pretty new to my collection. Dennis Rader. He was a church guy. He was a church guy during the day and a cold-blooded killer at night. This is based on a true story. I'm going to pause it here really quick and we're going to keep moving. Okay, so I think I'm going to end it with these two. I have another stack, but I think I'm going to save those for another video. I have a feeling by this point in this video, there's not too many people still watching. So if you're still watching at this point, give yourselves a pat on the back. Thank you. That's a big thumbs up from me to you. And if you could be so inclined, since this video I'm pretty sure is not going to be monetized, I'm going to try, but I said a lot of things in here that are no-nos. Could you at least hit the thumbs up to maybe kind of keep me in that algorithm? I would appreciate that. It takes you a second. I don't ask for much on this channel. I really don't. So, but these next two are really awesome. This show right here, I love this show. I was late to the party on this. Everybody was telling me I got to check it out, and I kept pushing it off. But this show, True Detective, with Matthew McConaughey and Woody Harrelson, this is the first season. It was amazing. It was really, really good. I thought both of these guys played excellent roles as FBI, trailing a serial killer. I'm sure by now probably just about all of you have seen this. If you haven't seen it, check it out. It's really worth the watch. It is, let's see, the running time is 458 minutes. It's a 3-disc set on Blu-ray. But this goes so fast. I mean, it's so good. It just speeds right by. It's unbelievable how good this is. I love it. I give it a 9.5 out of 10. And the only reason I didn't give it a 10 is something happened at the end that I found to be unrealistic, to the point where it knocked half a point off for me. I'm not going to get into it. I don't want to spoil it for you. But it's definitely a good watch. 9.5 out of 10 for me anyway. And the last one here is called Inside the Criminal Mind. It's a 30-episode documentary collection. It comes in these slim packs here. You get America's Greatest Unsolved Mysteries and Crimes. You get Rampage, Killing Without Reason. And you get America's Serial Killers, Portraits in Evil. 6 DVD set. And this is excellent. This one's put out by Mill Creek. And I recommend this too. I mean, everything that I showed today, I recommend. I know it's impossible to watch everything that I showed, but hopefully I piqued your interest on at least one or a few of these, hopefully. And thank you very much for watching. It's always nice to see you guys come in here, and if you feel like leaving a comment or a thumbs up, go ahead and do that, especially in this video. I never ask that either. I don't say, hey, smash that subscribe button, all that stuff. I mean, that's up to you. The way I look at it, if you're watching my videos and you're not subbed, you're not going to sub anyway. There's nothing I can do to make you, you know, or convince you, I should say. So do what you feel is best. And as always, I appreciate any support that you guys give me. Take care, and I'll see you next time.